Does Dynasty like the new Mortal Kombat movie? That is the million-dollar question I've been asked over the past few days, over the weekend, and... Did I? I did. I thought it was very enjoyable. I thought it was a fun movie. That said, I've got like 9 pages of notes, some complaints, a lot of praise, but this movie by no means is a masterpiece. It's not perfect, and got a lot to discuss. I don't know exactly the format of this video. I don't know how exactly I'm gonna present my thoughts because, again, 9 pages of notes. We're probably gonna be all over the place, so if you wanna grab some water, a popcorn, anything to get you by, maybe just, you know, an earbud, maybe you can listen to this like it's a podcast or something. I don't know how long it's gonna be because I could sit here and talk about this movie for an hour, but long story short, if you just wanna hear my initial thoughts, I liked it. It was fun, a solid probably, I'd say a 7 out of 10. I'd say a 7 out of 10. If you went into this movie open-minded and you just want to have a good time, I feel like that was delivered. I feel like a lot of people were just expecting another retelling of the classic Mortal Kombat tournament story we've seen retold in the OG films, in the OG games. It's been retold a million times, and that wasn't the case. Nor was that implied in the million of trailers they've shared with us, or in any of the articles that we talked about here on the channel. So for those people who were expecting a retelling of the story, I'm so sorry that that was not the case, because this is definitely a prequel right before we get to that. This is setting up the tournament. So if you go into the movie aware of the plot at least, and you can be open-minded with this Cole Young guy, I think it's a good time. Now, obviously, Cole Young is the elephant in the room. You guys know, going back to the days of Cole Turner, when we first talked about the leaked script on my channel like 4 years ago, I've not been too nice. I've been pretty harsh on Cole Young, and honestly, in this movie, Louis Tan is a great guy. I love him as a human, as a person. The character is okay. Again, this is just from my perspective, my mindset here. I already knew why Cole was gonna be in the movie. I understood the reasoning behind it. And for me, it was easy to live with that and not just have the whole movie ruined because, oh, Cole Young. Like, no, I understand why they wanted to do this because it at least gave people the opportunity to look at the Mortal Kombat franchise from the eyes of someone who just got tossed into the world of Mortal Kombat. It makes sense. It makes perfect sense. Does it mean that I like it and support it? No. No. Not at all. Why couldn't we just have Liu Kang or someone else be the main character and just slowly catch us up to speed? And it's funny because I feel like throughout the movie, it's a lot of like in passing, catching us up to speed. Liu Kang narrates a lot of the plot in the movie. It's so funny. I have 9 pages of notes, and a lot of this is Liu Kang continues to elaborate on the plot. Like, it's funny because a lot of it is just simply in passing. It's in there, but it's not important. We're really just moving like from one scene to the next scene to the next scene to one location to the other location. It's everywhere. Regardless of my thoughts of Cole Young, I still think the movie is great for what it is. Again, this is just from my perspective, somebody who went into the movie open-minded with the lowest of low expectations. I told myself, as long as it's not Annihilation 2.0, success. That's all I wanted, was a chance to see Mortal Kombat on the big screen, and it sucks because we got it, but now it's like you either are loving this thing, you're hating this thing, or you're okay with this thing, which again is like any other movie. But man, it's I feel like a lot of the complaints can just simply be reasoned or answered if people just, I don't know, listened or were a little bit more open-minded. But I don't know the formula for this video. I really don't. I'm probably gonna go through my notes and kind of just pick things to talk about from beginning to end. So yeah, humongous spoiler warning. I'm so sorry, but if you want to just know my opinions real fast before we start breaking down my thoughts on everything, it was a great movie for what it was. Just understand this is definitely a prequel and a taste of things to hopefully come. It was a setup. It was all a setup. Everything was a setup. It's kind of a cop-out ploy to have where it's like, oh, they're saving it for the sequel, but what else can I say? Because that seems like really what they're doing. A lot of the stuff, it seems like they're just building towards and for a sequel. So it was fun. There's blood, there's gore, there's comedy. Gotta say also, shout out to Josh Lawson, who plays Kano, who by far is the highlight of the entire movie. There is like zero comedy at all in the film without Kano. I think Raiden maybe cracks 1 or 2 one-liners that kind of got me to chuckle, but Josh Lawson as Kano is the star of the entire show. Some of the improv that Josh Lawson has as Kano is hysterical. It's amazing. Without Josh Lawson, this movie would probably fall pretty flat. It really would feel like it was missing a little bit more of that oomph, but thankfully we had some of Josh Lawson as Kano to give us that comedy, that humor, because without it, it's almost non-existent. But with that said, go watch the movie. It's on HBO Max. If you haven't, I don't know what you're doing. Why are you watching this? Go watch it. Let's talk about the spoilers and everything else. Yeah, let's get into it. Before I break down the entire Mortal Kombat movie for about an hour, I want to say a big thank you to today's sponsor, that being the Red Magic 6. The RM6 is a state-of-the-art gaming phone. So much so that it includes not 1, not 2, not 3, 4, 5, 6, but 7 different ways to cool your cell phone. And this includes, but not limited to, a vapor chamber and even 6 different cooling fans. Now, for ease of gaming, it even has built-in triggers. Yes, a left trigger and a right trigger. So listen, guys, this is practically a gaming PC on the go. Multitasking is made easy with the mini window and app overlay options as well. It even includes some of the latest and greatest tech like 5G network, 6E Wi-Fi, and 5.1 Bluetooth, so you'll always be kept up to speed. The Red Magic 6 comes in not 1 but 2 versions, which include the quote-unquote Pro version that will upgrade your already large 12 gigs of RAM to 16 gigs of RAM, and of course the standard 128 gigabytes of storage to 265 gigs. With all this tech talk, you probably think this quote-unquote gaming phone might fall flat on something as simple as a camera, but guess what? Red Magic 6 does not disappoint because it has a triple AI camera. That means not 1, not 2, but 3 different cameras, not even including your front-facing camera, and of course all these work together to offer excellent image quality, a large field of view, and even a bokeh camera to achieve macro effects. Now, things just keep getting better because the Red Magic 6 holds its largest battery ever, which can fully charge in under 43 minutes. A full-fledged gaming PC on the go, charging in 43 minutes. It's pretty useful. My personal favorite feature has to be the built-in game enhancement mode. You can take your skills to the next level literally at the flick of a switch. Doing this will increase both your CPU and GPU performance. So again, this is a true gaming phone. If you think it's time to upgrade, head on over to redmagic.gg or use the link in my description to check out everything else that Red Magic 6 has to offer. Again, big thank you to Red Magic 6 for sponsoring this video and of course making this all happen. The opening scene is by far one of my favorite parts of this movie, just because it is the classic duel between Sub-Zero, Scorpion on the big screen. It's done justice back in the 1600s. You can't beat that. That is like the OG of OGs fighting it out, and they delivered. They killed it. Now, finally seeing it in action was surreal because it lived up to the hype of the articles I was reading and talking about here on the channel. Joe Taslim as Sub-Zero is just so damn menacing. I love the fact that when he walks into Scorpion's hut and his wife and his son are there, he mentions, oh, your father taught you that? And, you know, Scorpion's son's there, like, trying to, like, you know, put his battle stance out. And Joe Taslim, being Joe Taslim, just gets down on one knee, starts showing his cryomancy with his hands turned to ice. Boom, it cuts the Scorpion here in the cries. It was amazing. It gives me goosebumps just describing that scene. It gave me chills. Again, no pun intended. So the actual fight scene in itself, seeing Scorpion kill all those bad guys, all the Lin Kuei warriors attacking the hut was great. And the actual showcase between Bi-Han and Scorpion, you're going to see Bi-Han just casually sitting underneath a tree. Again, just how menacing, man. I said it on Twitter. I really enjoyed how Sub-Zero really felt like a threat in this movie, and part of that's just because Joe Taslim just looks so evil. He is living Sub-Zero. He brought Bi-Han to life. I can't praise his work enough. All throughout the movie, I was getting like 80s Michael Myers Halloween vibes, like this menacing killer threat that's just constantly coming and coming after the champions and can't be stopped. I think even towards the end, it's mentioned a few times when they're about to the final fights, we can't beat Sub-Zero by ourselves. Like, this dude is presented like he is a real threat, and that's something I can respect because Annihilation didn't do that. The first Mortal Kombat movie didn't do that. Hell, Ed Boon, NetherRealm kills the guy in every trailer they have, so to see on the big screen Sub-Zero get some justice finally was for me. That was surreal. That was worth Cole Young. That was worth the inexistent plot. That was worth all the bad. So the opening scene was amazing. The movie's also filled with a bunch of callbacks, and the very first one is the kunai being used as a gardening tool in that first scene. Then eventually Scorpion just picks it up after gardening. He's just like, oh, by the way, Bihan. Well, not Bihan, but his warriors, the Lin Kuei warriors. So a lot of callbacks in this movie, probably like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of them. A lot of foreshadowing, so I really could appreciate that too. Again, kunai being used as a gardening tool, things that we've never seen before but completely make sense. It just gives that other grounded and realism approach that they've been talking about for months now, so I really could appreciate the kunai being featured from a gardening tool to slicing Sub-Zero's men's throats in half. It was good. I liked it. I'm seeing here, I also mentioned that the audio in the movie definitely emphasized the tone of it all, and that's probably the case in most of the film. I feel like the audio that was used, the soundtrack, was pretty damn good. Even the remix of the classic Mortal Kombat theme song you get to see at the credits scene, I kind of like it. The EDM mix, it's not that bad. I know some people hate it, but I liked it. For the Lin Kuei. I get how that was probably a turnoff for people who probably don't play the games, but hearing that in English after seeing Japanese-speaking Scorpion and Chinese-speaking Bihan, like seeing that, peak. Sub-Zero fanboy in here, peak, man. For the Lin Kuei on the big screen, your boy was happy. After that scene takes place, Raiden teleports to save Hanzo Asashi's baby, and honestly, I have a major gripe, and that's Raiden in this movie. As someone who loved Raiden in the OG film, Christopher Lambert, like, I just wanted more. I wanted more. I know their whole tone is grounded realism, and Kano really is just the only source of comedy and humor for the most part. They try it with Raiden a few times, and I just feel like it does not hit as well as it could have. Yeah, I don't know. Raiden's kind of just there to be there and to kind of fill in some of the plot holes, but I didn't like him. We'll talk more when we get to more of his scenes, but yeah, Raiden comes, saves the baby. I want to say too, I have this written down here, the Mortal Kombat 3D text that reads as it's like panning over the forest and Raiden's walking through the forest, that gave me like Living Forest vibes, and I was so excited. I don't think there's actual faces on the trees, but I think the first time I watched the movie, I was losing my mind because I was like, oh my god, is it the Living Forest? Fan service is here. Don't think it is, but I just love how it just kind of pans to the rest of the forest, and you get to see the text Mortal Kombat. Then we get the text that reads how Earth is in shambles, and if they lose one more tournament, Outworld is going to merge with Earthrealm. You get the point. So that happens. Then we get introduced to everyone's favorite Mortal Kombat character, Cole Young, which, man. Cole Young. Again, Louis Tan, I love you, man, as an actor, as a human. You seem like a great guy. Don't take my criticisms to Cole as a bad thing, because honestly, it wasn't too bad. For what it was, a new character, an original character, it could have been a lot worse, and I get it. I know we've already talked about this. I get it, but we get to see Cole Young wrapping his fist. Of course, from there, we get to see the MMA bout. I think it's like $200. He's like fighting some guy for $200. He gets his ass kicked, which I appreciated because gives you that added level of, wow, you know, Cole's maybe not that special. He's kind of like me. He can get his ass kicked by an MMA guy. Wow. There's that connection with the audience. They wanted to make sure Cole seemed like anyone else. A guy with flaws, a guy with problems, a guy who can't win in a cage match, which again, relatable. Want to say too, now that we're talking about that scene, because when he's in the locker room taping up his wrist, there's like that old man, his trainer. It drives me nuts because initially when I first saw the movie, I was like, God, they're giving this guy so much screen time. Why? Why does he get like 4 or 5, 6 sentences and it's just like panning just to him? That's gotta be Shang Tsung. And this guy will convince Cole to fight in the Mortal Kombat tournament. And that never happens. It's just some random old guy who gets like 8 sentences, 9 sentences, 10 lines in the movie, and that's more than Raiko and Molina got. So this old man irked me because I thought it was going to lead to something, but it never does. Even the very end, I was like, okay, maybe they're saving it for the end here, but no. It's just the guy who's just talking to Cole that got the spotlight more than Raiko and Molina. Just one thing I thought was like, man, really? We gave this guy a showcase, but not Raiko? Raiko has no lines. I think Raiko's line is like, oh, that's all he says. But this trainer guy has like 10 sentences. I was thinking, obviously, that was going to be Shang Tsung because you guys remember back in the OG movie, Johnny Cage gets his invitation from who he thinks is, I think, a movie director, but it's actually Shang Tsung in disguise. So I was just assuming this dude is going to walk out of frame eventually and just morph into Shang Tsung and teleport to Outworld, and maybe he was like spying on the Chosen One, but no, that didn't happen, and I feel like that was a missed opportunity, man. Then we transition to Outworld again. We're gonna see Sub-Zero in Shang Tsung. He's sitting on his throne, and that's where pretty much the plot is introduced. It's just Shang Tsung telling Sub-Zero, go hunt Earthrealm's champions. Yeah, so there you go. That pretty much explains, like, yeah, we're gonna be hunting champions and not fighting in a tournament. So that was within the first, I want to say, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. So if you were still thinking a tournament was happening by that point in time, I'm sorry, because Shang Tsung kind of told you that we're just hunting people here. Page number 2 of my notes. Then we go back to present day. So we get like 20 seconds of Outworld, then we go back to present day. And that's where Cole Young is washing his face in the mirror. You're gonna see the Scorpion flashback. They're just teasing that he is the descendant of Scorpion. We don't know, but we know, playing into that. So the big reveal at the end makes it worthwhile when he does make his appearance. He's like, I'm back, bitches! Like, that was cool. But it sucks because I would have liked to have seen more Scorpion in the actual movie, but it is what it is. So yes, we have the Scorpion flashback in the mirror. Then we get the line, Eddie Tobias, which killed me. Killed me! Hearing Jax say Eddie Tobias and smirk, I knew he was corpsing. I knew he could not keep that together because the name Eddie Tobias is so blatantly obvious if you are familiar with anything of Mortal Kombat. Obviously, the creators of Mortal Kombat, Ed Boon, John Tobias. Eddie Tobias, though, that just does not roll off the tongue well. It was so blatant. I stopped watching for 5 minutes and just started laughing. It took everything in my power not to tweet Eddie Tobias all month long. So yeah, we got to see the Eddie Tobias name drop reference, which it made me laugh if that's what they were going for. I appreciate it. I'm not sure if Ed Boon did. Then from there, we get to see Cole Young take his daughter to the ice cream shop, the burger place, and that's where he gets reunited with his wife. She's like, oh, how'd you do? Whatever. And his daughter's like, should have done the uppercut. Again, just like the Kanai. Another callback that we get to see all throughout the movie. The uppercut. Cole's uppercut. That's his whole thing. Do uppercuts. Cole Young in Mortal Kombat 12, Fatality. It's an uppercut. Pacing's going well. I like where we're going. Everything's just kicking ass. One scene to the next. Boom, boom, boom. I like it then. Shit gets real. Shit gets real, and 90s slasher Sub-Zero is introduced. He starts walking through the alleyway, passing a bunch of cars, including a new Edge Mustang. He picks up the ice. Boof! Tosses it on the restaurant where they're eating at, and it's so funny because I think it's like 4 or 5 pedestrians just get clocked with this like gigantic piece of hail. It's funny. They're just getting clocked. Sub-Zero is being presented like a threat. So again, if you ever wanted to see Sub-Zero kick people's ass, even pedestrians, this movie's for you. Now that we're here, I want to touch on the special effects to some degree because I enjoyed all the special effects in this movie. I'm more of a practical effects type of guy, but these were done sparingly and done very well, like very, very, very well. Either it being Melina's teleports or Cabal's super speed purple aura or Liu Kang with the flames on his hands, you know what I mean? Everything was done just so damn crisp and well, including when they're in the alleyway. So you want to play hide and seek? So Jax says, and it's so funny because in the alleyway, there's again another great look at the special effects because Sub-Zero's standing there, and when he walks into the building, all of his like icy aura and mist just follow suit, but right before that, as he's standing on the concrete in the alley, underneath his feet, the floor just freezes, just slowly freezes. And even going back to the scene where he's tossing the ice is just growing on top of like mustard and ketchup and random stuff. Like, it looks so damn good. Winter is coming and it's coming fast, and they delivered. So effects, flawless. They killed it. They were done very well, especially towards the end too, in the fight scene between Scorpion and Sub-Zero. Several times, man, all that, the whole fight scene at the end, there's one instance where we're gonna see an ice clone. Sub-Zero uses a damn ice clone. We're gonna talk about that too, but again, special effects. Scorpion's frozen, he just punches the floor with his flame fist, and boom, Hellfire saves us all. So effects are great, but yes, you wanna play hide and seek? Back to that. Call me biased here because I love Sub-Zero, but this is probably my favorite portrayal of Jax Briggs losing his arms in the franchise. Like, I understand, it's been done a million different times, but this one right here was my personal favorites. Seeing his, like, not lifeless body, but his limp body just get tossed from, like, the 3rd floor to the bottom floor. He hits, like, a piece of, like, metal on the way. It is so dark and so brutal. You are presented with Sub-Zero looking like he gives 0 fucks. And again, menacing as all hell. I loved it. So seeing Jax lose his arms made me feel very good inside. I'm so sorry, Makad Brooks. You're the man. I have written down here, too, during the fight scene, I really appreciated how Sub-Zero just grabs his hands and tosses them on Jax's shoulders, and you can just see the pain in Jax's, like, reaction, his facial expressions, because this dude's hands are made of ice. Anytime he wants, he just does this, and Jax is like, what? So again, little things like that just played up how authentic the characters were portrayed. I loved it so much. Come on, imagine just Sub-Zero doing that too. Yeah, that happened in the movie, and it was great. Then Jax loses his arms, and we are back to Outworld, and that is where we're going to see the first glimpse of Mileena. Yes, everyone's favorite clone, Mileena. And I gotta say, too, I really appreciate how when they're in Outworld, it seems like there's this reverb or this echo effect that is being used for both Shang Tsung and Mileena. I really don't know if it's like an Outworld thing or not, but for that scene when they're walking alongside the... I don't even know who it is, just like the guards or whatever, it's great. I love it so much. I just wish that Cece Stringer had more time to shine because she really probably had like 4 lines, 5 lines, and that was it. That was it. As much as I would have preferred a purple Outworld, I really did like the color correction that they used too. It was like a brown, purple. It was dead and barren. It was a wasteland. It was perfect. So not as purple as I would have wanted, but still, it was pretty cool. I'm not sure if the echoing also was just maybe their portrayal of Shang Tsung with all the hundreds and thousands of souls in his body, and that's why you're gonna hear like different tones of his voice. I don't know. So yeah, is that an Outworld thing only? I don't think their voices sounded like that anywhere else, but yeah, I really did appreciate that for the few seconds we got that. Then we get to Sonya's apartment, and that's where she pretty much explains the, again, plot, which is all just explained in passing, off the cuff. Like, Sonya's like, oh yeah, by the way, there's this thing called Mortal Kombat, and you were chosen, Cole. I really did like all the small little references and Easter eggs inside Sonya's apartment. For instance, we got to see Kodo Khan, Nightwolf, some pictures of her and Jax rocking their military gear as well. So again, it felt very authentic. It gave that extra added layer. And of course, Kano. We're introduced to the star of the show here, and he's just locked in chains. And again, I can't just praise Josh Lawson enough. This dude is perfect. I guess because we're talking spoilers. It sucks that he's dead. It sucks. We'll talk about that when we get there. I also did appreciate the small little instances where Cole can go from being chased by Sub-Zero to immediately being like, oh, you even spelt this Mortal Kombat thing wrong. This dude's like cracking jokes after his whole family almost got murdered. So Mortal Kombat, you gotta appreciate Cole Young's attempt to be living in Mortal Kombat. This dude's family almost just got killed, and he's just cracking jokes about this Mortal Kombat thing. While Sonya's explaining pretty much the plot, and she starts talking about Kano, she mentions how Kano killed a previous champion, and that's how he has his marking. That's one nitpick I have too, is like, okay, who did he kill? Who was this champion? They don't even explore that at all. They don't even say anything. They're just like, yeah, he killed some guy who was a champion, and that's how he has the marking. And it sucks because they could have easily just been like, oh, he killed Cobra. Oh, he killed Baracho. Obviously not, but you get my point, right? Who is this champion, and why was he killed? And it was just not a big deal to even mention it. Raiden, you didn't bring it up when you were talking to Kano. What's going on here? Then after like 3 minutes of Kano bickering back and forth about not being freed, we get to see Reptile come with his invisibility, and I gotta say, after watching the movie a second time, though he's dead, and though I love Syzoth, I love you, Reptile, so much, it's cool because he kind of is like one of the biggest threats presented in the movie. This guy, 3v1'd for a solid, 3 minutes. That's saying something. Usually Reptile just gets his ass kicked, and that's the case here, but at least he kind of had a small fight here. It took Kano really pulling his heart out to kill him, which, again, is unfortunate, but Mortal Kombat, death is just a portal. We'll talk about that in a bit. But now, initially, when we first see Reptile in the trailer, I hated Reptile. I was praying to the Elder Gods that wasn't Reptile because I didn't like the look they were going with, because you only get to see that small shot of his heart getting ripped out, and I thought he looked like the Wolfman, and I was like, what the hell is this? But after seeing the movie, our boy looks like an alligator or a crocodile. Like, he's looking very reptilian. Reptile, go figure. And it reminds me a lot of the Deadly Alliance costume, the skin, which I have been on my channel for years saying is my favorite of all time. So for those who hate Reptile being a reptile, I understand why you hated his design, but for me, I liked it. He looked like a Komodo dragon brought to life or something. It was pretty cool to see 3D era stuff in the movie like that. So, though he just looked like a crocodile, I appreciated the effort. When he was standing upright, it didn't look too weird, but it was cool. And after watching the rest of the movie, let's keep it real here, I think Reptile put up more of a fight than Raiko and Natara and Melina and hell, maybe on par with Goro, and this is Reptile. So as much as it pains me to see one of my favorites get killed, Syzoth, who I think has so much potential that's just never gonna get explored in either the games or now the movie, it was cool because it took 3, not 1, not 2, 3, Kano, Sonya, and Cole Young to rip out my boy's heart. So it is what it is. He was at least presented like a threat to the point where he even uses his tongue. His tongue! He grabs Kano with his fucking tongue and drags him across the room. I'm pretty sure too that is an animatronic that was also created. I think I read about that too. So they spent some big bucks making Reptile's tongue a thing as well. So I also did appreciate the fact that his acid spit was used to further move the plot. Seeing the acid spit, you know, after he eats the dagger, the butterfly knife or whatever, and seeing it just slowly ooze off the ceiling and help Kano get freed, that was such a nice touch because even as recent was, you know, it's Mortal Kombat 11, Aaron Black uses our boy's acid spit in his fatality. So to see that aspect taken from the games and used in the movie, his acid spit, which it's acid, of course, right? It was cool. I could appreciate that a ton. So yeah, honestly, I liked Reptile. I wish he didn't die, but death is just the portal, so whew. The lackey was a lackey for just Shang Tsung. He got killed, and it is what it is. It stayed true to the games, at least. He was a jobber. But not really. He put up a fight. Going back also to Josh Lawson being amazing, he's just sitting there post, like, killing Reptile, just sketching his fatality. And it's funny because he mentions, like, all the best artists are psychopaths. Killed me. I also think it's kind of interesting how Kano is just bought out by $3 million off the cuff. Sonya's just like, $2 million. He's like, $3 million, you got a deal. Like, I feel like Kano would probably ask for that to be transferred to his bank account first before just taking a reward for it because this is Kano. But Kano is somehow just convinced with the word of Sonya saying, hey, my word's bond, and he believes her, and he just agrees to take them to Raiden's temple. Kind of seems like a cop-out way to get to Raiden's temple because I just don't think Kano would be like, okay, I'll take your word for it, mate. Like, no, I feel like Kano would probably want some proof, but he didn't. He's like, I'm going there anyways. Which he wasn't, which again, I love that line. And speaking of callbacks, our boy spits on the garden gnome, only to eventually be killed by, you guessed it, his spit. No, the garden gnome. So Kano calls his homie, which again, we don't even know who his homie is, and she picks him up with a plane. They go skydiving, and it sucks because I'm pretty sure when they're skydiving, that is where Todd Garner mentioned that scene with Rain was going to be shot as they're skydiving. I'm assuming Rain would probably just, I don't know, make it start raining and he'd start attacking them in the middle of them parachuting down to the desert on their way to Raiden's temple. And yeah, we just simply end up from trailer park to plane to desert land like this, like in the span of like a minute. So it sucks because again, if you had like a Snyder Cut version of the movie and that scene's in there, would have been sick to see Rain fighting all 3 of them midair. That would have been really cool. So yeah, we get a line from Kano saying, I killed the lizard man, which again was amazing. Josh Lawson, I love you. Another vision is Scorpion staring at his kunai, and every time he stares at the kunai, like an added layer of this like texture that Cole Young's armor has gets added to this kunai. I guess that's how it's gonna translate eventually. Did someone say you wanted some more callbacks? Yeah, so as they're walking through the desert looking for Raiden's temple, Kano's like, if you want my mocking so bad, darling, why don't you just take it? And that's a horrible accent attempt. But yeah, again, this movie, foreshadowing, callbacks, everywhere, every other minute. It was like, oh, I'm sure that's going to come back sometime. And that was another one. It's like the 5th one already. By this part, we're also like 40 minutes into the movie, and the pacing is okay. It's like we started and we have not stopped. It did not feel like 40 minutes. It felt like the movie just began. What I think is the most beautiful shot in the entire movie is we get to see Liu Kang slowly make his appearance at the sunset. It's all shot in camera, dude. I probably have a picture of it on the screen right now. That shot of Liu Kang walking is the epitome of everything I needed, and I wish we got more of that. That was so sick. So yeah, love that shot. It was amazing. Then we enter the temple where, again, Liu Kang in passing is just like, this is Raiden's temple. And he's explaining everything and trying to catch up to speed because we're Cole Young, and we don't know what the hell is going on. So shout out to you again, Sonya and Liu Kang, for carrying us through this movie. I believe this is also, we're going to see Liu Kang mention the tournament for the first time, other than, you know, Sonya Blade. So he's like, we must prepare for the tournament, start our training. That's like 40 minutes into the movie. So again, if you were like, okay, the tournament's going to happen in this movie, it's like, dude, we were already halfway in. There is not going to be a tournament. I'm sorry. Then we make it to the temple murals section, which I really did appreciate because get to see Mortal Kombat 11 Shao Kahn, which looks so sick. Also, I believe a scene or two from Armageddon, Scorpion versus Sub-Zero dating back to their first fight in the 1600s. Then there's another Scorpion flashback. We're in another realm again, looking at Kanai. Another part that I really appreciated was the fact we get to see Kano just slowly trying to steal Shinnok's amulet, which is inside of Raiden's temple, because again, Sonya said $3 million and anything you want at the temple, and he believed it, so he's trying to steal Shinnok's amulet, which I'm hoping is a plot device being saved for the sequel or the third movie, because, I mean, the amulet's there. Who's in the amulet? Is it Shinnok? I like that so much. I don't think I should have got that excited, but I did. It's so funny, too, because, again, Liu Kang is just talking about how we have to train versus Outworld, the worst of the realms, and if you don't know any better, you just have to take his word for it, because they really don't provide any proof. They're just like, okay, Liu Kang says it's bad, so it's bad. We must train. Then we get to see Jax for the first time after losing his arms, and I love T-Rex Jax so much. It pulled at my heartstrings. Also, that was kind of funny how, like, the monks at the temple are just, like, skilled in robotics all of a sudden because they sourced every realm for ways to fix Jax's arms. Again, just kind of seems like a cop-out. We know how to fix his arms. We just went to the realms, and the monks figured it out. Liu Kang says what Liu Kang says. He means what he says. Gotta believe him. Then finally, Lord Raiden returns at the 46-minute mark, and he is not happy at all. Raiden is pissed. He's so angry. He's not happy. He's not happy at all. He's not wise. He's not cracking jokes. He's not funny. He's just like, who is this? Why are you here? You're not ready to fight. You are a piece of crap, and you don't even have a marking. So, again, going from Christopher Lambert to current Raiden, where it's like, oh man, I just kind of wish there was a little bit more of some comedy there. It just seemed like he was so disappointed and so upset. It's like, dude, if this is all you have, you should probably be grateful, Raiden. You should probably be grateful, but at the same time, I feel like he was just upping the ante and just trying to test the champions. I feel like Raiden already knew what to expect, so maybe that was his ploy all along. Again, cop-out answer. Kano calls him Gandalf. Again, add that to the list of things Kano did great in this movie. There is nothing here for you, only death. Those are the exact words that Raiden had for Cole Young, our new Mortal Kombat character. Way to be so friendly and nice to our new friend, Raiden. I don't know. Negative Raiden just really, I didn't like it too much. Not a fan of it. Did not resonate with me. I know what they were going for. I just didn't like it. I didn't like it. But again, maybe this is all just building up to the second half of the movie. Then Sub-Zero enters the temple. He invades, he sees Liu Kang, he throws an ice ball, which again, little boy me was jumping and screaming at an ice ball being tossed at Liu Kang, and then out of nowhere, Kung Lao appears to save the day, the music changes and shifts, and I gotta say, I'm praising Kano all throughout this review so far, whatever you want to call this breakdown, but dude, Max Wang as Kung Lao was my second favorite character. I think Cabal is probably my third. Every time Max Wang was on the screen, I was like, this is going to get great. This is going to be good because I feel like he has nailed the part to a T. I got more thoughts on that in a second. So right after the grand reveal, we're going to see Kung Lao for the first time. Shang Tsung now enters the frame with his eyes. His eyes go from normal to black. They gave Shang Tsung evil, beady, black eyes. I love it. He looks evil. I love it so much. And I think this is the first time we're going to see Outworld versus Earthrealm, at least the competitors, and it's great. It's a nice little stare down, and I think the line Shang Tsung uses is like, I'm here to steal their souls, when he's talking to Raiden. Dude, every time a soul being stolen was mentioned, I loved it. It was great. It was corny, it was cheesy, it was Mortal Kombat for the Lin Kuei. I loved it. They gave me what I wanted. By this point, we're also like 50 minutes into the film, so we're like past the halfway point. That's where I assume, Jinsei in Raiden's temple is used through his staff because force field, right? But they don't even, I don't think, name drop Jinsei, but what else could be used to provide that shield all throughout the temple. It has to be the Jinsei chamber, so I guess kind of just went without saying. Maybe they didn't want to confuse people with, oh, this is the Jinsei and that's how we're protecting ourselves. I don't know, but Raiden's staff somehow creates a force field out of nowhere. Let's say it's the Jinsei chamber because that's the only thing that I think it could be. Unless his staff is just fucking OP as hell, and why can't we do that in the games? It's great too because after that initial stare down, Shang Tsung walks away, but Sub-Zero Bi-Han just stays there for a few extra seconds and just stares into the soul of Louis Tan, Cole Young. He is staring at Cole and he's like, I know who you are. Those flashbacks, I know you're having them. We're gonna duke it out. I will kill you. So I appreciate that so much. So much. Small, few little seconds like that just went a long way for the storytelling. Thank you so much. I loved it. I appreciated that so much. Really plays up to the fact that they hate each other, you know? Shir Ryu, Lin Kuei, even 400 years apart. Doesn't matter. I hate you still. Grandson of Scorpion. Then guess what? Liu Kang explains some more stuff because, well, who else is gonna explain this stuff? Liu Kang, he's wise, and he explains Arcana for the first time. So yes, again, big thank you to Liu Kang for providing us context, because without it, we would be confused. Because we're Cole Young. One part that made me really chuckle around this part of the movie is they're about to start their training, and Sonya is just casually sitting there watching, and Kung Lao is like, what are you doing? You gotta leave. You don't have a marking. No, leave. And she's like, wait, what? And Liu Kang just like doubles down with his homie, and he's like, yeah, dude, you're gonna keep us kind of viable to get our ass kicked here, so you gotta pack your stuff and leave. So thought that was kind of funny how they both worked together to shoo Sonya away from the training grounds. Then she makes her way to Jax's table, and that is when Jax wakes up, which again pulls up my heartstrings because Jax with T-Rex arms is a sad sight to behold. 53 minutes in, we're training. Cole Young versus Kung Lao. Kung Lao gets the best of Cole Young. Do we need to see this? I guess we do, because it establishes again that Cole Young is a big dummy right now and he cannot defend himself, just like he could not defend himself in the cage. Relatable to me and you. He doesn't know how to use his powers. Who is this guy? During this, we do get a classic Kung Lao pose, which I loved it. Again, so much fan service in this movie. So much. I think Liu Kang even mentions during one of the training battles, like, you must test your might. And again, give me the corny lines. Give it to me. That's what I came here to see. I loved it. Then the second training mission is Liu Kang versus Kano. And at this point in time, Kano does not have his superpowers yet, so he's getting his ass kicked. And I really did enjoy the reference to the games when, you know, Liu Kang's just doing the sweep over and over again, and Kano, like, avoids it by jumping directly up. And he's like, aha, gotcha! Then he just gets his ass kicked right afterwards again. So another reference if you play the games. That's so funny because chances are, if you're like me, you've probably played with people who don't know how to play Mortal Kombat, and all they do is a cheap little sweep, and it works until it doesn't, and then it does again. So I chuckled again there. Put your shirt back on, Magic Mike. There's another Kano one-liner that I loved. We're about an hour into the movie, and we get a Boraicho name drop. They give us some depth to Liu Kang's story in this franchise, this MKU they're going for. He's an orphan! He's an orphan. They also mentioned that he was a worthless stray who found somebody, I guess, who was into human children trafficking, and they had a marking on them, and he killed them and grabbed his marking because he was defending the other orphans like himself. Again, I just wish they would have names to these champions, these select few who had the dragon markings, because Kano kills someone with one, Liu Kang kills someone with them. I just wish we could have maybe had a name drop here or there, because seeing him mention the Wuxi Academy being trained by Master Boraicho, dude, I cannot wait to see Boraicho in the next movie. If he is in the next movie, I will be so happy. I jokingly said Jack Black would be the perfect casting for Boraicho, but honestly, think about it. I know you're gonna hate it already, but just think about it. Jack Black is Boraicho. I know. It's great. Definitely not pressing this like button right now. So yeah, I really did appreciate how they explained how Liu Kang got his Arcana. It's from killing some guy who was a bad guy, and, you know, Liu Kang just doing the right thing like Liu Kang always does, giving us the plot details, killing people who just smuggle orphans. How could you not like our vegan king, Ludi Lin Liu Kang? Then we go back to T-Rex Jax, and it's a very sad scene, a very nice dynamic to finally see between Sonya and Jax, because I think at this point in time, we haven't seen them actually conversate at all. So She gives him a pep talk like they're back in the military. It seems like they genuinely do have that relationship that's already been established, and I loved it so much because if they could have just done more things like that for the other characters, I would have cared so much more for the people in the movie, because that small, maybe minute and a half of her just like trying to help this dude who feels worthless because he's got T-Rex arms. She was there for our boy. I loved it so much. So that made up for a lot of the lack of on-screen time. Not seeing that camaraderie beforehand, so I did appreciate that nice little scene because it establishes like these people are friends and they went to war together, and that's what they do. That's the Special Forces. That's Jax. That's Sonya. So loved it so much. I think Jax says like, "These don't work. These are not me," and he's like punching that punching bag. Dude, that killed me. That killed me, and he didn't even die. He felt like he died. Then we get to my favorite scene in the movie. That being the dinner scene where the gang is all just hanging out the temple after they trained all day. And Kano is on a mission to piss off everybody. He's just sitting there like, "Pass me an egg roll," yelling at everybody, trying his best to piss them all off. And of course, you guys already do know, that's how he gets his superpowers, because he's just pissed off and he wants a damn egg roll. I think the line is, "Shut up and pass me a fucking egg roll." I think that's what gets said. And dude, I could watch that on repeat. I think I've probably seen that scene like 10 times. Give me 2 hours of that. Screw all this other fucking making our way to the temple, all this other stuff. I just want to see more of the interactions between the actual cast and crew because, dude, that felt so authentic, so real, so genuine. That is my favorite scene in the entire movie. It's gotta be. It just felt so real. It was so cool seeing all those characters and personas just interact back and forth. It's so cool finally seeing something that you've grown up, I mean, for me anyway, all these games, the OG movies, seeing them in the flesh, just finally just have that relationship and just going back and forth. It was surreal. So yeah, I love that scene in the movie. I think when WB asked me my thoughts on the movie, that was like one thing I highlighted. I need more of that. Only fitting too that the Shaolin monks are working together to troll Kano. Like that was so perfect. Like Ludi Lin and Kung Lao. Like Kung Lao is so blatant in his disrespect, but Ludi Lin's like, "You are a," I think he calls him like an angry bunny or something. Like, Ludi Lin is so nice and so mean. It's amazing. I love it so much. Big shout out to Liu Kang also for giving Cole Young advice because he is down the dumps about not being able to use his Arcana. And Liu Kang is the only one who's just there like, "Dude, believe in yourself. You got this." So yeah, man, I really did love Liu Kang in this movie. He fits the bill. It's Liu Kang. Then we get training number 3. It's Cole Young versus Kano. And again, Cole Young is just getting his ass kicked. They really wanted us to feel for this dude. They really did, because even big bad Kano is just trolling him the whole time. He's just like, "You suck!" Then Raiden returns after this training and Cole's getting his ass kicked. And that's where he tries to, I guess, instill with him some type of like wisdom. But it just goes down south super quick. He pretty much explains how he is indeed the descendant of Scorpion. And right after that, he's like, "But I can see that you don't have that really in you. You're not like your great-great-great-grandfather, and yeah, go back and be with your family. You suck." Not verbatim, but that's essentially what gets told to Cole Young from Raiden, and it actually rubbed me the wrong way. That's because I didn't really care for Cole, but I was like, damn, Raiden's kind of a dick. Granted, I know what he was going for, but at the time, I was like, damn, this guy's kind of an asshole. Salting his bloodline. Then it's funny because in passing, Cole is just like, "I'm just some guy from the south side of Chicago." Killed me, because you know what else from the south side of Chicago? NetherRealm Studios. So only fitting that Cole Young, the character not created by Midway or NetherRealm, is from Chicago. I'm sure Ed Boon saw that and probably took a shot. So yes, Cole is discouraged after he gets chewed out by Raiden. He goes back to his family. Then we get a scene back to Outworld. This is where we're going to see Raiko, Cabal, I think Melina and Atara also in that same area where Shang Tsung was sitting on his throne. Cabal brings up, "Did you see that guy Kano there?" And we don't see Goro, but we get to see like these doors open down the corridor, and we get to hear him like yell and scream, and Shang Tsung is like, "Yes! The Shokan is with us now." And you kind of feel like shit's about to get real. Like the battle's about to happen. I was excited. I was excited to see CGI Goro kick some ass. Ha! Boy, was I wrong. Then they take us to the Kano and Cabal scene, which is probably my second or third favorite scene in the entire movie other than the dinner scene, because seeing Cabal, Black Dragon, Kano, Black Dragon, have that interaction between the Jinsei shield was just so good, man. It felt like it was ripped out of a Mortal Kombat game. That felt, honestly, like something that NetherRealm Studios, Sean Kittleson, or anybody would have probably sat there and written down. Like the dialogue, the 1-2 back and forth, it was so good. I don't know if it's like a Jersey accent or like a New York accent that Cabal had, but dude, I loved it. I loved it so much. I can't praise Cabal enough in this movie. Kano was great, Kung Lao was great, but Cabal, dude, I have honestly zero complaints about Cabal. I lived to see that damn scene. I wanted more of that scene. It was only maybe 2 minutes long, but seeing Cabal just swindle his way into convincing Kano to turn on the good guys, dude, it was perfect. That was fucking great. I'm gonna cuss. I fucking love that. I fucking love that scene almost as much as I fucking loved the dinner scene. Those two scenes, dude, fuck. Give me more of that. It just felt like a Mortal Kombat movie. It felt like a game put on the big screen. I loved it so much. The dynamic between the two was there. You could tell Kano and Cabal have a really rough past with the Black Dragon. It just felt so real and authentic to the games. I can't praise it enough, man. I can't. I'm probably beating a dead horse here, but I really did just love that scene. Oh, so much. Then it's Goro time. Almost, but Goro time. I think they just kind of foreshadow that Goro is like in the shed or something. I think maybe the portal smoke starts appearing, so it's almost Goro time. Then it gives us a nice take back to the temple where Kano shoots Raiden's staff and it brings down the shield. So the shield is now gone, which seems like such an easy thing to do. Kano's like, laser beam, shield be damned, Jinsei chamber, and the Jinsei is just drained, which again, I'm like, man, this Jinsei chamber stuff really ain't too powerful. Shortly after that, the Outworld gang returns again. No shield. It's about to get real. You guys know what's about to happen. Now it's Goro time. Big Daddy Goro in the flesh, but through CGI, not really. He is at Cole Young's house with his family. You remember, Cole is there all heartbroken because Raiden's like, you don't have what it takes, you pussy. And then Goro's there, and do I got a lot to say about Goro being fucking killed by Cole Young. I'm gonna put the script down. If I had my say, Goro is not being killed by Cole Young. At least not by himself. It would have been so much fucking better if Goro was actually presented like a threat. Now, I understand, Todd Garner, if you're watching this, which I doubt you are, I understand it's been said that the reasoning why Goro was only used for maybe a couple minutes was because he was so damn expensive. Like, millions of dollars were spent to create CGI Goro, which I get. If it's either Goro getting killed by Cole Young or no Goro, man, it's such a tough one. It's such a tough one because I understand why they did it. You establish that Cole Young is a badass. He can kill anybody because he's already killed the great Goro. He just gets destroyed so easily. And I really was expecting or hoping that maybe Goro would be saved for like a final battle. Maybe Goro could have been a big bad. Like, I think, honestly, Goro has one line. Now I tear out your spine. That is the one fucking verse that our boy had in the entire movie. Now I tear out your spine, champion. And it's like, dude, oh my god. You kill Goro with the new character. When I first saw that, immediately I was like, people are gonna have a fucking aneurysm when they watch this because if they are diehard fans, that is everything you don't do to please the diehard fans. You don't have a Hollywood create a character, kill a character like that. But then again, it's like, it cost so much money. So I understand why they did it, but at the same time, it's like, fuck. So I'm conflicted. I know why they did it. I don't like it. But if it comes down to either Cole Young killing Goro or me having no Goro at all, dude, I guess it is what it is. It's either that or we fucking get no Goro. So it sucks, dude. It really sucks. I wish I didn't have to pick between those two options. I wish I could have had an option where it was like, I don't know, maybe all the champions work together to kill Goro, because if you guys watch the fucking trailers, which spoil everything, it was kind of teased, maybe, when Goro is opening the door. I think Cole Young in the trailer mentioned something like, I got first, or like, who's first, or something. And it kind of seemed like it was going to be another Shaolin Monks intro where everybody was going to work together to defeat Goro, but that's not the case, obviously. Not at all. I know it took a while to get to something that I'm really passionately hating, but I hated it. I fucking hated it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I hated it. I wish Goro got better than what he got, and it makes sense. I understand why they did it. Doesn't mean I like it. You feel me? All throughout Goro getting his ass kicked by Cole Young too, they're also just transitioning back to the temple where everyone else is also fighting, so that's kind of what's going on in the gist of all this. I have written down here, Cabal's purple effects were amazing. It was MK11 on film. And this is where Raiko starts going to town on everybody. I think this is when Raiko gets his Shao Kahn hammer and he starts just like a fucking brute, just starts swinging it anywhere he can. He just looks so mindless and like such a meathead. Like, he does not look slow and methodical. He is a brute who's not thinking and he's just swinging. And I think that's when Jax says you have stinky breath or something. When he like picks him up with his like T-Rex arms, he's like, damn, you got stinky breath. Like, dude, Makan Brooks tried at these one-liners. I think for the most part, they kind of all hit pretty well. I don't know about that one. So yeah, Raiko gets like 5 seconds of kicking ass in the entire movie. He's presented as a threat for 5 fucking seconds. 5 seconds, and in the midst of 5 seconds, Jax says he has bad breath. Damn, your breath stinks. So that's Raiko in the movie. We're gonna get to his death, don't worry. I did appreciate, though, when he is just mindlessly swinging his hammer, he does hit Liu Kang, and that's what kind of sends him towards Cabal, and that's where they have, like, their whole, like, little fight showcase for, like, a few seconds. So in the plot, it kind of helped Raiko being a big dummy because he at least made that happen, which kept Liu Kang away from Kung Lao, which get into. All throughout this, we get Mileena versus Sonya Blade, and that fight was okay. There's one part where she does like a complete backflip, which looks super corny, and I could have just lived without it. I fucking hated that part. She does like a backflip, and it just... That was the only complaint I really had with like that. There's like a backflip that I just took me out of it, man. It just completely took me out of it, and I was like, that does not look real. And again, it doesn't look real, right? But it's Mortal Kombat, grounded in realism. That just did not flow. It was such a weird backflip too. It didn't look smooth. Go back and watch it. You'll know what I'm talking about. Though Mileena is just shafted this entire movie and really not important at all. She's just a lackey for Shang Tsung. I was glad to see. We got to see her getting showcased a little bit with the Sai. She does stab Sonya and taste your blood. And she's like, dude, your death is meaningless. You mean nothing. You know how epic that was? She's like licking the Sai as she's like hovering over her. Just towering over her. She's like, yeah, bro, you suck. Meaningless death about to happen. So I love that. Mileena at least got that little showcase. Like Raiko. Raiko got 5 seconds of kicking some ass. Mileena got 5 seconds of licking some blood and looking cool. Sorry, Mileena fans. Then throughout all of this, Kung Lao is just watching. He tosses his hat at Shang Tsung, who's just like this. Looking unimpressed at the Mileena-Sonya fight. He's like, watching Raiko killing Jax, his T-Rex arms. He's just like this, and he's interrupted by Kung Lao, who tosses his hat. And it's so funny because this dude literally just goes. It was great. It was so great. How could you, like, be mad at that? So subtle, just enough to where it's like, damn, this guy is ready for anything. Shang Tsung's like, nah. Fucking popped me. I loved it. I think he even yells, you're beneath me. I'm telling you, he's not Kerry Tagawa, but dude, Shin Han tried his best. And it sucks because I wanted to see more of that in action, but they're saving it, man. I feel like all this is just building towards the second movie. Then Natara gets fatality'd, and this is by far my favorite fatality in the entire movie. It's funny because I think leading into the film, I didn't know what to expect, obviously, from a fatality standpoint, but in my head, when I think of like the most gruesome fatalities of all time, I always date back to the Mortal Kombat 9 buzzsaw fatality for Kung Lao, and I don't know what possessed me to think about that the first time I saw the movie, and God, I don't know, man, but like while it was happening, I was like, there's no way. There's no way. There's no way they're gonna do that. And to a T, pretty much, it is the MK9 buzzsaw fatality to Natara. Seeing Kung Lao's facial expressions as he's just like standing on top of her, dude, it was great. It was great. The blood is just like splattering on his face. He looks so, it was giving me like Bruce Campbell, Ash Williams vibes, how sadistic he looked. It was amazing. And then he just has the will to say, flawless victory. Dude, my heart, you can't top that because it was legit a flawless victory. Natara swooped in, got split into two. So it sucks because just like Goro and Raiko, I really wish that Mileena, a lot of these characters, I wish Natara would have had a chance to shine because that is a character that I love so much. You guys know, if you're fans of the channel, I love my 3D era. And dude, when I found out Natara was in this movie, I got so excited. And then it's like, for what? For what? To look nice, to look amazing, and then just to die. I get it. I get it. It's okay. Death is just a portal, but man. Whew, that was great. So yeah, that was my favorite fatality in the entire movie. That alone was worth watching the movie. That was sick. Shortly after Natara is killed, which again, I loved it so much. As bad as that sounds, I loved it. They give you that nice finishing scene with the Cole Young Goro fight, and that's when Cole Young's daughter's like, Dad, use the uppercut. So again, they have all these callbacks. Uppercut for the win! And that's pretty much what saves our boy before he cuts off Goro's hand, slices his belly, stabs him in the eye. It's established Cole Young can kill anybody. LOL. Cole Young channeling his inner Roman Reigns. After Big Daddy Goro is defeated, we make our way back to the temple. By now, Raiko's already been a mindless drone, just shaking his hammer around and destroying some stuff that's fallen on top of both, I think, Jax and Sonya. Eventually, Jax gets up, he sees Sonya's underneath the boulder, picks up the boulder and unlocks his Arcana. So yeah, Jax saves Sonya Blade, unlocks his full potential through his Arcana, and I guess that means that he has big arms now. So his Arcana is the ability to go from baby T-Rex arms to full-fledged, robotic, cybernetic arms. Shout out to those monks who went through all those realms to figure out how exactly to fix our boy Jax. After Jax saves Sonya, I believe Raiden opens up another portal back to where Cole Young just defeats Goro. So again, Raiden's like, 4D chess, piss him off and make him defend his family. I hope anyway. So Cole Young reappears back in the training room. He's now rocking his full Arcana suit with his Tarkatan blades. Very Baraka inspired, which I have several thoughts about. And that is where Kung Lao gets his soul stolen. Which Kung Lao cannot catch a break, man. Kung Lao's dying and everything, and this movie's no different, but thankfully, again, death is just another portal. So yeah, Kung Lao gets his soul stolen. I thought it was so funny hearing Cabal say, he's about to get his soul sucked. Like, says that to Liu Kang in the hallway, and he's like, wait, what? So then, like, Liu Kang, like, gets out of the way and starts running towards Shin Han, Shang Tsung, and, yeah, you get to see the green aura, the green soul leaving Kung Lao's body, and he just becomes zombified slowly, and it was so good. The soul stealing scene was amazing. It actually did pull at my heartstrings, even though I kind of expected it because it's Kung Lao. It was great. This will at least give Liu Kang that added piece of revenge and needed to want to kill Shang Tsung in the sequel. So building towards that, we're just laying the foundation here, planting some seeds for the future, because again, this movie should have been dubbed like prequel. Because again, it just feels like everything's being saved and built up to the next movie, and as much of a cop-out as that seems, that's what it seems like. Then Raiden takes us to the portal again, and this time we are in the Void, which I didn't expect to see the Void. It's like purgatory. This is where Raiden just casually brings out the kunai from like the back of his robe, and he just gives it to Cole, and he's like, this has been mine for 4,000 years. It has the blood of your ancestor, Hanzo Hasashi. There you go. Yeah, thought that was kind of funny how Raiden just had that in his back pocket for 4,000 years. And then all of a sudden, now that Cole has his Arcana, it's like a light switch just like flipped on. And now Cole Young is bossing everyone around. He's like, no, we gotta fight. I know what I'm doing now. So that was cool to kind of see Cole Young kind of take charge. But then again, it's like, dang, of all people, Cole Young's leading the way here. Which again, to be expected, he's the protagonist. So it is what it is. Then I think we get taken to the pit, which I think is the pit. It looks like the pit. And that's where Raiko gets his ass kicked by Jax. Boom, head smashed. They actually gave that full fight scene out for free, I want to say like 2 days before the movie dropped, and I got to see some of the reactions to that fight scene, and dude, that shit got torn apart online. So many people hated that fight scene between Raiko and Jax, and honestly, I don't blame them because it's very one-sided for the most part, and again, it was okay. That fight scene was definitely not worthy of hyperbole, like the greatest fight scenes of all time are in this movie. Like it was okay. Kind of wonky editing. It was some jump cuts here and there, but for the most part, got the job done. I mean, Raiko is literally just being used to die, just like Natara, just like we're gonna get to it, Melina and everyone else. These characters are just in there to get their ass kicked and help the established characters use their Arcana and kind of just have that nice little oomph of kick-assery, which I can get because again, we're building towards the tournament. But man, Raiko just having stinky breath and getting his head squished like a watermelon, which people were saying after it was showcased in the trailers. Oh, no way Raiko dies. They would not showcase that in the trailers. Surely someone's going to teleport and save his ass at the end of the, last second, stop him from being killed. Like, no, they kill Raiko on the pit, and it sucks because I was hoping that maybe we get to see our boy fall down from the pit, a stage fatality, but no stage fatality, just his head being squished. And yeah, this is where I think initially my first time watching, I had a lot of complaints because I just kind of felt like this movie was just like, I don't know, man. It was cut and edited so weird where it was like, for instance, Cole Young starts bossing everyone around. He's like, Jax, you have Raiko. Go fucking beat up Raiko. And Raiko's just like, oh, I have fucking really bad face tattoos. Oh, I have no lines of dialogue. And, oh, it sucks because when I first saw that, it just kind of felt very messy. It felt like it was edited very, fuck, man, it's just all over the place. Because one moment we're seeing Raiko and Jax fighting, then it cuts back to the Void, and Jax is there with the gang, and Cole is now telling, like, Liu Kang, you have Cabal. Then it kind of gives us a snippet of that scene, then it comes back to the Void, like it's just constantly moving back and forth from the Void in the fights, whereas I would have appreciated a lot more if it was like, okay, Jax, go to the fucking pit and fight Raiko, then we get to see all that in one, like, fucking shot, one scene. You know what I mean? Linear, as it's happening. Don't give me a weird jump cut back and forth from one place to the next, past tense, present tense. It just really confused me, and I watched it again the second time. It wasn't as bad as I remembered. Thankfully, I don't know if they actually changed anything from the first cut that I saw. They did add 10 minutes, so kind of felt a bit better, but it still kind of felt really weirdly edited. So yeah, that was kind of a bummer because these fight scenes towards the end are really all we have when it comes to fight scenes. Damn, these motherfuckers do work. And again, Makana Brooks' one-liners, dude, they are golden. It's not a birthmark, Cole. It means you were chosen. Like, these are things I'll be saying for years to come, I hope. But yeah, Raiko gets his ass kicked. He gets destroyed. It is what it is. Then we get back to the Void, and again, Cole Young is protagonist, leader here, bossing everyone around. And I think Sonya's like, I want the bitch with the teeth. And it's funny because she ends up having to fight Kano. Cole Young's like, no, Kano. That's who you're fighting, not Melina. Then it cuts to what I believe is Outworld because they're giving us a statue of Shao Kahn and he's rocking that MK11 gear. It looks so good. Cannot wait to see Shao Kahn in the next movie. Could have been Nathan Jones. What a wasted fucking opportunity. Honestly, what the fuck? So yes, I think it gives us, I believe, Melina and Cabal. Then that's where Liu Kang starts squaring off against Cabal. And that was such a great fight scene. That was not bad at all. Honestly, it was one of the better fight scenes in the entire movie, especially because gonna see the kicks, the bicycle kicks. Liu Kang has bicycle kicks on the big screen again. So surreal to see a lot of these moves from the games being presented on the big screen for the first time ever. I couldn't contain myself. I was yelling at the screen. I was so happy. I cannot wait to see this in IMAX because that was so sick. He kicks Cabal into some type of like gooey puddle of something, like oil or something. I don't know. Transforms into his dragon, does a fatality. Boom. Cabal is now toasted and dead. At least Cabal had a chance to shine, unlike Melina, unlike Raiko, unlike Natara. Cabal was actually taken very serious. Again, I think that scene with Kano really gave a lot to it. All his little, nice nuances and one-liners in between scenes here and there. Special effects all throughout were done so well. Again, it was like MK11 brought to life on the big screen. Every time Cabal had his super speed, it was great. The purple effects were amazing. The fireballs were amazing for Liu Kang. The flames look so fucking real. I hate CGI usually. I loved it in this movie. I loved it so much. Then we get the Kano and Sonya Blade fight back at her trailer, and honestly, that was a pretty brutal fight. It was a lot better watching the second time than the first time. The first time I thought it was okay. Second time, dude, they are scrapping and clawing and brawling. They are brawling all throughout. I think she like slices his ankle. Yeah, she throws acetone at my boy's face and he's just like, ah! There's so much good going on. I was hoping that when she threw the acetone at his face, it would reveal the fucking plate under his eye. But no, Kano gets no plate at all. And I thought when she threw that at his face, it would, finally give us Kano in his eye, his cybernetic eye. But no, they didn't give us that. They gave us so much, but they could not give us a fucking cybernetic eye. It pissed me off. But hey, so the fight was great. They were scrapping, they were clawing. Kano has her like in this fucking chokehold, and Sonya's just about to pass out. I was like, dang, are they gonna kill Sonya? Nope. She reaches for the damn gnome that Kano spat on at the very beginning of the movie, stabs him in the eye with it. Again, another callback. Do you like callbacks? Foreshadowing. There's a lot of them here, and I didn't expect that to even be a thing. The first time I saw the movie, I was like, that's kind of weird. Panning to a garden gnome, and Kano's like, I fucking hate gnomes. He fucking gets killed by a gnome. It's perfect. Kano's dead. The star of the show is dead. No! What? How do they do that? Now, it sucks because, again, Kano, I think, really was the only real comedy we had throughout the movie. And, of course, Mortal Kombat is comedy. It's cheesiness. It's corniness. That's part of the MO. And Kano provided literally 90% of the comedy in the movie, so it sucked. Sucked to see Josh Lawson die, but if they really do have Johnny Cage in the next movie, if they get the right actor, I'm hoping Johnny Cage will fill that void because, man, dude, Kano killed it. Josh Lawson. Whew, that's going to be a tough one to beat, man. You got some big shoes to fill. Whoever they have casted as Johnny Cage, and I'm still hoping it's Ryan Reynolds. I'm seeing even Ed Boon kind of showing support for The Miz. WWE wrestler The Miz being Johnny. Whoever they decide to be Johnny, good luck, man, because Josh Lawson really did set that up perfectly because he killed it. 10 out of 10. Kano was the star of the movie. I have zero complaints about Kano. He was amazing. Loved it. It's great. So yeah, there was that fight scene. Then we have Melina versus Cole, and this fight probably lasted maybe a minute. I think all Melina really did was bite Cole Young's tonfa, and the moment she bites his tonfa, she's finally showing off her Tarkatan teeth, full force. Not as Tarkatan as I think most of us were expecting, but still her teeth were definitely a bit more Tarkatan-y than usual. And right as she's biting our boy's tonfa, Sonya comes out of nowhere. Boof! Goodbye, stomach. Death. Flatline. The clone is dead. So Melina died after she did nothing at all. Melina fans, if you're upset, I don't blame you because legit, she only really had one scene in the beginning with Shang Tsung walking through Outworld. And that's it. That's pretty much it, man. That's it. She calls Sonya Blade not worthy of death, and ironically, she dies at the hands of Sonya Blade. Then, as the movie's almost about to end, Sub-Zero is creeping in on Cole Young's family like he is Michael Myers. I've seen some really funny memes. Shout out to TQT. That shit popped me. That was so funny. Yeah, he's creeping on the family. Then a portal opens up, and he has Cole Young's daughter's, like, bracelet band that she's been messing with throughout the movie. Freezes it, crushes it, goes back into the portal. Cole Young's like, whoa, what are you doing? Chases him. We end up at the Frozen Gym, the gym that we get to see at the beginning of the movie, and that is where the final showdown between Cole Young, Sub-Zero, and Scorpion takes place. I could sit here for an hour and talk about how amazing this whole scene was. It was great. It's flawless. It's perfect. I think Sub-Zero mentions to Cole Young, finally the Hasashi bloodline will end. Dude, chills. And of course, they're fighting back and forth. Sub-Zero is just showing off his cryomancy powers, you know, ice just fucking glowing and growing off his hands. It's amazing to see. Again, the effects were just done so well. Thank God we're in 2021 because they did it some justice, man. Just as it's not looking too good for Cole Young, that's when we get to hear the iconic line, "Get over here!" Which they did change because I think the trailer really just pissed off too many people. So many people the first time we got to hear Hanzo Asashi's "Get Over Here" line in the trailer were so upset. They were like, that does not sound good. So they did change the audio in the movie. It sounds a bit better, but it's not Ed Boon. Let's keep it real here. So yeah, courtesy of blood on Hanzo Asashi's kunai, as, you know, Sub-Zero and Cole are duking it out. He busts out the kunai and has some blood on his hands. Scorpion is here. There's a moment in that whole final scene where Scorpion takes off his mask to make eye contact with Bihan, and dude, it looks so cool to see that look in Scorpion's eyes, that disturbed, dead, revenant, specter look on the big screen. His teeth are like black. He looks dead. He looks pale. It looks amazing. There's even a nice little parallel callback too, because you guys remember during that scene of Shang Tsung bossing Bihan around, he's like, oh, I'm Sub-Zero now. Well, now in the final scene, Scorpion's like, well, I am Scorpion now. So when that happened, I got a nice little tip of the hat. That was pretty cool to see. A nice little callback again. I think I mentioned it earlier, but seeing an ice clone on the big screen, dude, I was screaming. My boy Sub-Zero did an ice clone in a movie. Did it work? No, but it almost did. But he did an ice clone. We don't even have ice clones in Mortal Kombat 11, but we have ice clones in the movie. And again, just like the I am Scorpion now, Scorpion to Cole says, for the Shirai Ryu. Again, I was like, damn, just like the beginning. For the Lin Kuei, give me all these lines I hear in Mortal Kombat, please. And they did. Maybe it was corny to people who don't care about the games or play the games, but hearing For the Shirai Ryu with Cole Young got me pretty excited, guys. Got me pretty excited. Then, of course, the finisher, fucking Toasty. A Toasty on the big screen. I did expect to see a Toasty on the big screen to be the final send-off. Really cool, too, how, like, during the Toasty fatality, you can also see, like, the skull just protruding through Scorpion's, like, skin. It's so sick. It's literally the Toasty fatality brought to life on the big screen 3 minutes after seeing an ice clone. How could I be upset? How could I be mad? The final fight lived up to everything I could have ever wanted between a Scorpion Sub-Zero battle, other than the fact that Cole Young was in there somehow, some way. Why? Because he's the protagonist, but it was great. The final fight scene was amazing. I loved it so much. And right before that, it's really cool because Sub-Zero just like starts taking off his garb. He's just like, ugh, takes off his armor. He's just, you know, he's rocking this like black attire. I don't know if that's also like foreshadowing, like I am noob Cyblock because I just have nothing but black underneath me now. But then Scorpion's like, take care of my bloodline. Peace. See you later. Bam! Staff. Portal opens. The gang is here. Cole's family saved. Liu Kang's like, come here, I'll warm you guys up. And he just busts out some flames to warm up Cole's frozen family. That was such a nice touch again. I think that's when Raiden kind of gives some props to Cole for the first time. He's like, I am impressed, because I think Scorpion's gone by now. So I don't think you got to see Cole Young and Scorpion beat up Sub-Zero. I think it was just, you know, maybe Raiden thought that Cole did it by himself. I don't know, but he's giving Cole his props. It was kind of cool to see. Then the final stare down between Shang Tsung and Raiden, where Shang Tsung mentions death is just the portal, and Raiden's like, I've had enough of your shit, man. See you later. I'm gonna send you back to Outworld. And he just like shuts him up by sending Shang Tsung to Outworld. Then he mentions he talks too much. Again, you see what I mean? That landed very well. We got more lines from Raiden like that. Maybe I wouldn't just feel so disconnected to that character, but by the end of the movie, at least some of that was landing finally. That's where Raiden mentions he's gonna assemble a list of champions, and yeah, it's up to Cole and the gang to go find those champions. Cole is back in his locker room at the gym. That's where the old man comes back again, and your boy was yelling at the TV like, that better be Shang Tsung. And he's like, where are you going? He's like, oh, I'm off to Hollywood. He walks away, pans to the Johnny Cage poster. Boom, big reveal, Johnny Cage coming soon, next movie, potentially, hopefully, maybe. So yeah, those are all my notes. It was like 9 pages of notes. So in conclusion, that is my analysis breakdown of the entire Mortal Kombat movie. Honestly, I think a 7 out of 10 is pretty fair because, again, I knew what I was getting myself into. I did not expect another retelling of the traditional Mortal Kombat story we've seen done through the games, through movies, etc. So I liked it for what it was. I just do wish... I wish Raiko had more than just, oh! So one line he had, his face paint was gone. Mileena had like 4 lines. Natara was literally just in the movie to get killed by Kung Lao. It is what it is, but as somebody who really does love those characters, Cole Young did get a lot of screen time. It would have taken like 30 seconds to probably build those characters and make them a force to be reckoned with. I mean, come on, you have Nathan Jones, who could have been Shao Kahn. Fucking ruin that with Raiko. And you don't even establish that he's like a big bad. It would have taken maybe like, I don't know, off the top of my head. How hard would it have been to maybe just have a scene with like the Outworld gang walking through an Outworld marketplace with Shang Tsung? Maybe Shang Tsung is like talking to Raiko Mileena, telling him like, yeah, Earthrealm's champions, we gotta destroy them while we can before the tournament begins. And they're just walking and passing through like the marketplace, and you're seeing all these weird creatures and all these weird people, and you know, maybe the collector's there selling something, you know what I mean? Like, I kind of wish it wasn't so empty, and I feel like those characters just feel bland and empty. They're just there to die, and it's like, dude, there's so much potential there. You could have had Raiko like maybe bump into somebody and they're like, sorry, General Raiko, and he just grabs his fucking hammer and just boom. Then you could have just cut to another scene. Like, that alone would have just provided so much more context, so much more depth to the character, and I feel like that wasn't there for Mileena, for Raiko, for Natara. But, you know, Cole Young got to kill Goro. Goro had 1 line, so don't like how a lot of this stuff is presented, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. I enjoyed the movie for what it is, a 7 out of 10. I'm looking forward to the sequel because I feel like now that we got all this out of the way, all of this has been established, I'm hoping this allows another 2 hours of real Mortal Kombat content and not just getting us to the dance. All of this was getting us to the dance. I want to be at the dance. I want to get this shit going. Give me what I want. Fucking stare down between Raiden and Shang Tsung at the end there, dude. Why do I gotta wait for the next movie for that? So yeah, this was pretty much a prequel. If you go into the movie knowing it's a prequel and just setting things up for the future, it's an okay movie, but if this movie completely bombs and tanks and there isn't a sequel and this movie's looked back on like 15 years from now, it's not gonna look too good because it's literally just building towards something that we don't even know where this is going. We know this tournament happening, that's it. So yeah, the sequel has a lot of things to get done right, and it's such a cop-out thing to do, but make or break, man. If the sequel's Annihilation 2.0, then yeah, this shit's gonna hit the fan real fast, but if they actually do deliver Johnny Cage being Ryan Reynolds, hey man, maybe the sky's the limit. So anyways, that's all I got for y'all today. Those are some of my complaints. Again, highlights from me, just in general. Sub-Zero being presented as menacing as he was amazing to see. The effects were amazing. Kano was fucking the only source of comedy that was consistent and just like hit everything out the park. Kung Lao on my screen was just pure joy every single time. I hate that he's dead. Really do hate that he's dead. Max Wang, you killed it. Cabal, you killed it. Those two scenes, the dinner scene, the scene where they are talking back and forth, Kano and Cabal, probably my favorite scenes in the entire movie. All the callbacks were appreciated. A lot of Easter eggs, references here and there, graffiti in the background, the menu in the burger joint that they're sitting in when Sub-Zero comes to invade the town. Sub-Zero was just such a badass. Seeing Jax lose his arms also, like I said in the actual analysis here, my favorite version ever of him, and maybe I'm biased because it's Sub-Zero, but I appreciate that a lot. So we don't have to have the same opinion. It's okay. You can hate the movie. You can love the movie. I didn't love it or hate it. I liked it for what it was. It was fun. I think everything falls on the shoulders of the next movie, though, because if they deliver, the first movie will be forgotten. It'll be okay. It'll just be like, yeah, it was just setting up for this great movie. But if the second movie just bombs, dude, whoo, I don't know. So there you go, guys. That's my analysis, my breakdown. Hopefully you guys had some fun listening to me talk over these 9 pages of notes that never end. If you enjoy, take a central like on the video, of course. Subscribe for more MK content here on the channel. Till next time, been your host with Dynasty. Guys, please take care, stay safe. See you guys in the next video. Peace.
Dynasty for years now. GTA, MK, and Justice. I'm still down. Rapper meets gamer. I wonder how y'all feel now. That was just a setup. Watch it get real now. Okay, so me and Sub-Zero was born in '92, and lyrically I inherited all his fighting moves. A lot of y'all still lost, don't have the slightest clue. The truth disappears in the smoke as if you fighting new. So.